Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone between Jason, welcome back to the rundown on 10-minute testing ripoff for Master Duel. Recently, Master Duel has had its big anniversary update, finally adding the live twins to the game, along with K9 and Vanquish Soul card. But not only did all those cards come out in a brand new pack, we also got a brand new structure deck. And while I'd love to say that today we're taking a look at Dark Magician, unfortunately, that isn't exactly what I have in front of me. Instead, we're going to take some of the most powerful cards ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! And put them in another spellcaster deck. So, without further ado, please allow me to introduce to you Primite, Dark Magician, Bystial, Azamina.
What is the meaning of the word slop?
That's right, today we're taking a look at Primite, Bystial, Dark Magician, Azamina, and otherwise known as Dragoon Turbo. I don't really know how other people can call it, but I'm going to call it Dragoon Turbo. That's what the title of this video is going to be. It's Dragoon Turbo. It's a deck that aims to use Bystial to be a one-card enabler for the brand new Dark Magician of Destruction and the Gaze of Timaeus, basically being a one-card package to get Dragoon out as often as possible. Along with that, Bystial is also a one-card combo for the Azamina engine, and by mixing the two together, we can end on two Omnium Gates on our very first turn. So we've taken inspiration from the famous Bystial control decks that are very popular in the Joshua Schmidt side of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's just Bystials, it's just hand traps, and you just look to put out one big, powerful threat on the board, and then just back it up with hand trap after hand trap after hand trap after hand trap. We also here get to play the Primite engine because we can play DM himself, a Dark Magician. A lot of the cards here in front of me are pretty familiar to most players, so I'll just stick to explaining the new ones. Unfortunately, I can't sort cards in Master Duel, so we'll just have to go from left to right. So first off, we have our one big man himself, the Dark Magician. Beautiful royal rare. I actually really love this alt art. I'm very happy that Master Duel just gave us this for free. 2 Effective Veiler, 2 Droll and Lockbird, the Mandatory Maxi, the Mandatory Triple Ash Blossom, 2 Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion, Draco Tail, obviously still one of the best decks in the game. I pretty much put 2 Ghost Bell in like every single deck, both Master Duel and TCG at this point. Honestly, I just feel like it's just a good card to have in the deck, and you don't really want to play 3 because it's just not that great against other decks, but is good against Draco Tail. Run 3 Foolos, 3 Primite Dragon Ether Barrel, 1 Magnamut, 1 Druid's Worm, 3 Bystial the Black Witch, 3 Bystial Lubellion, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, Hallowed Azamina. Primite Fusion is in the deck, so Primite Fusion is actually pretty interesting inclusion. The idea is, if we go ahead and normal summon Ether Barrel and we already have other Primite cards in the grip, instead of searching the Drill Beam or Load, which you could already have, we search Primite Fusion instead. Primite Fusion lets us fusion summon a Dragon Fusion monster from our extra deck, using from the field, graveyard, and our bastion, which means we can use Ether Barrel's on-field effect to send Dark Magician, and that will allow us to fusion summon something like Secretarion Dragon. We're on 1 Branded Regain to search off our Bystial Lubellion. Regained is such an incredible inclusion in this deck. If you do not know, the Dark Magician of Destruction actually banishes the monster to summon itself. So if we have Regained, we can shuffle that card back to Regain, and we can also use the Regain to chain block the Dark Magician of Destruction's search effect. They both trigger at the same time, and we get to choose the chain links for that. We're at 1 Deception and Sinful Spoils. Run 3 Lord Load, 3 Super Poly. This is an incredible Super Poly deck. Ending on Dark Magician just on the board after a Lordly Load is actually kind of crazy, because Super Poly just becomes another way to make Dragoon on the opponent's turn. We're on 1 Called By, 1 Wanted Seeker Simple Spoils, 1 Primite Drill Beam, and 1 The Gaze of Timaeus. Target 1 Dark Magician Girl in your field or graveyard, fusion sub 1 fusion monster from your extra deck that mentions that monster's material by shuffling it into the deck as a material. This is treated as a fusion sub with the Eye of Timaeus, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn, and you can only activate 1 Gaze of Timaeus per turn. So if you do not know, the Gaze of Timaeus is a retrain of the Eye of Timaeus, as mentioned on the card, which was an unsearchable normal spell that would make something like Dark Magician the Dragonite or the Dark Magician Girl fusion. But with this retrain here in the Gaze of Timaeus, not only does it mention Dark Magician, finally, so this is searchable off things like the DM's Circle, but our brand new fusion monster can also search it as well. Now onto the extra, we have Mudragon in the Swamp, Garura. These are both, of course, some of the best Super Poly targets we have. Ilia Silvia, Mu, Rusilago. The Dark Magicians is a very funny inclusion. We're on 2 copies of Dragoon. We're on 1 Secretary on a Dragon. This is both a super poly target and one of our targets to summon with the Primite Fusion. Finally, one of our other new cards, we have Dark Magician of Destruction. He has materials, but those materials do not really matter, although that is pretty nice for super polys once again. But if your fusion is pretty nice for a super poly once again. But the most important part is must be either fusion summon or special summon from your X check during a turn. A spell, card, or effect is activated by banishing 1 level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster monster you control as material. You can only special summon Dark Magician of Destruction once per turn this way, no matter which method you use. And this card's name becomes Dark Magician while in the field or in the graveyard. And if that wasn't enough text, if this card is special summoned, you can add 1 Dark Magician or 1 card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. Meaning, the Gaze of Timaeus, which mentions Dark Magician, is our best search target. We're on Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon. This is another target for our Primite Fusion. If this card is special summoned, it is unaffected by other cards' effects until the end of your next turn. So it's a 2800 towers for a turn. That's cool. You can only use each of the following effects of Timaeus, United Magical Dragon once per turn. If this card battles during damage calculation, you can make this card gain 100 attack for each spell in the graveyards and banishment. During your opponent's turn quick effect, you can target 1 spell trap on the field, destroy it. We're on 1 Typhon, 1 IP Masquerena, and 1 SP Little Knight. Round out the extra, we have Miasma Necromancer, another brand new card. Is a Link 2 Spellcaster. It requires 2 monsters, including a Dark Spellcaster monster. This card's Link Summon. You can add 1 level 5 or higher Dark Spellcaster monster from your graveyard to your hand. But you can activate cards or the effects of cards with its name for the rest of this turn. You can send 1 spell trap from your hand or the field to the graveyard immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon 1 Spellcaster monster. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this can add Dark Magician back to our hand if we need it to turn on something like a Drill Beam. If Dark Magician gets stuck in grave. It also can add back Diabellstar. It can put Dragoon back in the extra, and it can put Dark Magician Destruction also back in our decks. Although we will be locked out of using the effects of the monsters, although I'm not really sure about the ruling on Dark Magician Destruction, if he's considered Dark Magician when added back or not. But hey, that's the deck, so why don't we check out some games? Alright, here we are, game number 1, and our opponent is on Trap Tricks. Pretty interesting deck, not really one you'd see often on ladder, but we're going second, so I thought it was actually ended up being a pretty interesting game. They're just going to normal summon a name, link off for Sarah, and activate the Arachno Camper from hand, triggering Sarah to set a card. They set the Hola T, and they're going to be activating the Hola T right now. Hola T effect, pitching one of their trap holes, the Trap Hole Nightmare, then summoning another trap trick from deck. I've seen enough. They got 2 4s on field, didn't summon the XYZ, so we're just going to go ahead and Nibiru them now. They really have the field spell in hand, which can banish the token to Reborn. Now they're going to tribute that one off to reset 2 trap hole cards. They go for Nightmare, and they go for Grave Diggers from deck. They're also going to extra normal summon the Dionea, reborning another guy, and then going for the XYZ. Finally, making the Rafflesia. Rafflesia effect, this confused me. I didn't realize that they had a trap hole that could just be activated whenever, but they did. They pop our nib, and here we go. You can see our hand is actually kind of goated, but into those 2 trap holes, I'm not really sure. They go ahead and reborn Sarah. I didn't even know they could do that, honestly. We'll lead Lord of Load, just trying to get any kind of interaction out of them. They have nothing, so we're just going to get this Drill Beam and just hold it for the very last second. We need to make sure the most important cards go through. So we're just going to throw them in the Rebellion, get it popped by the Grave Diggers, and take 2,000. They go ahead and activate Sarah effect to get Murmillo, and then pop our Lord of the Load. Again, we just want to get as much interaction out of them as possible so our actual good plays can go through. We're going to go ahead and normal summon the Ether Barrel, and they immediately fire their XYZ effect, showing a bottomless trap hole. I did think for a second there maybe I should Drill Beam that because it does banish, but then I remembered that the Primite Fusion can shuffle from banished as well. So we're just going to go ahead and grab Diabellstar, then send off that Fusion, realizing again I don't have enough cards to do any of these plays to use Diabellstar's effect. Now, finally, we'll activate the Drill Beam, revealing the Dark Magician that we hard drew. Of course, we always draw the one of Dark Magician, you know it. And we'll negate the Trap Hole Nightmare. Thankfully, at the very least, we can go ahead and do what we want here. Banishing the Diabellstar for the Dark Magician of Destruction, activating its effect, and the Gaze of Timaeus. We'll go ahead and fire Deception effect, tributing the Dark Magician from hand to get the Hollow Azamina, activate the Hallowed Azamina, sending the Deception on field to then fusion summon Ilias Sylvia. We just want to play around any negation they might have. Now we'll go ahead and shuffle back Dark Magician to summon Red Eyes Dark Dragoon with no negate. But thankfully we can draw a card off the wanted Grave effect. It could be anything, and we draw Magnamut. Alright, let's go Dragoon, pop their defense vision monster, Magnamut, banishing our Nibiru, and I realize, wait a second, we're pretty dang close to lethal. So we go Dragoon in, punching into Sarah, and this is where I remembered, oh wait, the trap tricks are protected once per turn. Uh-oh. Thankfully, Magnamut's effect is going to add us a card. Let's go ahead and make IP Masquerena. Once we use the Dragoon negate, we can just link them off of IP Masquerena into SP, or we can use this Druid's Worm instead to banish. Alright, they're going to flip the whole Atia. We'll just Ilias Sylvia that. I mean, I don't think they have many plays after this. We did crack through most of their board, but let's see what the draw was. They go main phase, and they just set a card. And like, okay, yeah, this is over. We do not need to keep the Dragoon negate, and they said, I do not need to keep myself in this game any longer. All right, here we are, game number 2, and we are going second once again. Our opponent is playing Blue Eyes, a matchup we'll actually see once in a while, unlike Trap Tricks. We'll go ahead and leave full those. We opened a couple of hand craps and a couple of sharders if you squint. Anyway, our Fuldos gets ashed, and they go off to the races. They're going main phase 1, activating the field spell immediately, then going for the main effect. Uh-oh, we're in danger. They extra normal the Kaiba Man, which is something. They're going to go ahead and set a spell trap in the deck. Hopefully it's Bingo Machine Go, which means they probably already have the card that adds 2 in hand. Then we'll go ahead and special Blue Eyes, and then bring back the mate. Activating Roar from hand. We're just not even going to bother negating that. Then the Jet comes down, which I go, uh-oh, wait, that could be bad if we didn't have Nibiru in our hand. So we're just going to go ahead and activate Nibiru now before they can put up any kind of Omni Negate. Sending away everything, and oh man, we're really lucky to draw this one on Nibiru, huh? Anyway, let's go ahead and Ash Bingo Machine Go, because I realize now that they just do not have anything else. And hopefully they'll just pass turn from here. They're going to go ahead and send Blue Eyes with the effect of their field spell, and there it goes. Really not great hand from us, and the second Lordy Load is not doing us any favors. Go ahead and activate Lordy Load, and they go and activate the True Light, special summoning a Blue Eyes rather than getting the spell trap. So they summon the Blue Eyes, and that is also going to trigger their Grave effect. We'll go ahead and grab Drill Beam with the Lordy Load. Maiden comes back. Kaiba Man also looks to add another Blue Eyes monster. They're going to add a Royal Chaos Max. Well, not the best card, but certainly a beautiful one. Alright, we're going to go ahead and normal summon Ether Barrel, grab us the Primite Fusion, and set it on the board. We're going to tribute the Ether Barrel, send the Dark Magician, and activate the Primite Fusion. This lets us summon the Timaeus United Magical Dragon, and this is when I remembered, wait a second, this guy's effect is opponent's turn only. I really thought I was going to be able to do some kind of OTK here. Anyway, let's just go ahead and summon Dark Magician, make sure we have the Drill Beam online, and pass turn. Don't want to attack into that main, and we can't do anything in the face of Blue Eyes. 3k is just too much. Anyway, we just held until they activated the True Light, and we got to pop it free. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. True Light's going to activate, and so is Jet Dragon. Jet Dragon summons himself out, and he gets immediately destroyed and sent to the graveyard. They're going to go ahead and normal summon Sage, which will easily just eat a Drill Beam. That, like, what else would we possibly do here? The last card in hand could be something. It could really be something. But looks like it's not. We're going to go ahead and pass turn back to us, and we have a couple big guys on board, and oh boy, Ash off the top. All right, well, we ain't comboing today. Go ahead and swing in for 32, 3k, and the Dark Magician animation for game. Solid game. Didn't really get to see any of the new cards besides Timaeus, but hey, we got to show off what kind of toolbox we're playing with. All right, here we are, game number 3, and we're going second again, but this time we have the Max C. We're going to activate Max C. Our opponent, by the way, is on K9 Art Mage. While Archmage obviously is not the best version of K9 out there, it is still pretty good. You may remember that one distant coder actually recently won a regional with this very same deck. So they're going to go Noroi, summon Izuna, and then link off for the Ripper. But of course, we won the minigame and were able to activate Max C. You can also notice we did draw a Dark Magician once again. They're going to add Force Released off Ripper. I guess they just don't want to give us much into the Max C. Activate the Archmage continue spell to add meteors for their next turn. Hopefully we can stop them from having one. Nibiru off the top, great card. Let's just see if they'll Ripper this Lubellion. They won't, they're not that dumb. Anyway, send off the Nibiru for Diabellstar. Activate her effect, setting us a Deception. Then we will flip the Deception. That is a spell card. They go Force Released here. I guess they're looking to pop the Deception, but Deception actually resolving is not what we really need. And they do pop the Deception. Well, we still activate a spell card, so let's go ahead and then summon Drew Swarm. This prompts them to use the Werewolf effect immediately to look and loop a card from our hand. They pick the Lordly Load. Again, that's not the real threat here. So let's tribute him off for the Bystial Lubellion, and then we'll activate the Bystial Drew Swarm's effect Engrave to send that Werewolf. We'll go Regained. Finally, we can do this little combo here. Summon the Dark Magician of Destruction with Regained on field. Destruction 1, Regain 2, shuffling back the Diabellstar who just got banished. Cool, chain blocking. Let's go ahead and get the Gaze into mice and draw a card. It would have been really funny if that was the Gaze off the top with that draw, but it wasn't. It was a second Diabellstar. We normal summon Droll because I'm like, oh man, I got a link off for SP or second. We don't have lethal. Then I remember, wait a second, Dragoon does not have Dark Magician stats, so we super poly to make Dragoon in battle phase who has 3k. I thought he was 25, and we just punched them for game. Eh? I'd say that was a pretty damn good one. We beat K9. Huh? So we're back to the deck, and hey, that was pretty good, I guess. Before we go over the pros and cons, I just gotta be real. So many games of me trying to get footage for this video was just summon Dragoon, throw hand traps, and the opponent concedes without doing anything. They were just boring, nothing happening games, and then the opponent also just like is not playing a real deck. I tried to find real games, but it's really hard to find real games on Master Duel unless you're in the highest of high tiers. But I can assure you, the strategy of just make up 2 Omni Negates and throw hand traps does work. Anyway, let's specifically go over the pros and cons. First, of course, the pros. There's so much non-engine in this deck. So many instant win cards that just any deck can play, but we can also build like a board alongside them. We have so much access to Dragoon, it's actually crazy. And we can also add in the Shining Sark package, which I just didn't have the UR dust for, and make it even more consistent. There's even an argument that we cut the Primites, cut the actual Dark Magician, and play just that package in its place to just maximize seeing Dragoon, and that's it. I also feel that another pro is this deck is pretty well suited for the current format. We really don't care about a Ripper hitting the board. We really don't care if we trigger the opponent's Izuna or not. We honestly don't really care if the opponent gets to flame us, right? We have so many must-answer cards in this deck that it's kind of easy to just gas through established boards. Hell, I showed you 3 games where I just went second every single time and we dominated. We also have such a robust toolbox. Unlike most decks where it's just really the main streamlined strategy, we're a real toolbox sort of deck, having the flexibility options of having things like the Dark Magicians, like Secretarion Dragon, like Timaeus, the United Magical Dragon, all just waiting in our extra deck for the right moment where they become useful. Because in our main lines, we don't need the space. We don't need to link off 7 times to make some Dragon Link board that loses to one Super Poly, which I did face the other day and just completely destroyed. And the cons. So obviously you can tell from the ratios here, there are hands where we just draw oops all hand traps, and those rarely get the wins on their own. Master Duel, unlike paper play, there is a higher likelihood of an opponent who just gets all their stuff negated to just surrender in anger or frustration. But when we open the cards of all hand traps and then they don't surrender, we're in a pickle. As well, we're at risk of just drawing the wrong hand traps. You know, if we're going up against K9 and the only options we have are like Ghost Bell, Nib, we're really shit out of luck. Also, the Bystials just aren't always that well positioned for the Master Duel format. They're kind of playable. Our best bet is like being matched up against Yummy, but even then, a lot of the time they do just get to keep going through any hand trap we can throw at them. Also, I know I find decks like this where you just have a bunch of these hand traps to control the game a lot of fun. I know it's the Joshua Schmidt brain rot, the fact that I like these kinds of decks, but I understand a lot of people will probably find this kind of boring. You know, I like this, Josh likes decks like this, but the player base at large does not like decks like this. But all in all, I had a lot of fun building this deck and playing it. So if there's any questions or comments, or if you just want to say you think the deck sucks or that you love the deck, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, leave a comment, and specifically, if you're leaving a comment, let me know if there's a deck you would like to see me feature on the rundown in the future. I'll do Genesis, I'll do Master Duel, and I'll do the TCG. Whatever you are interested in, let me know. I'll give it a shot. Thank you again for watching. Goodbye.